right, welcome back. Now, authorities believe they have identified the minibus taxi and a suspect that are linked to a series of gang rapes of women commuters around Johannesburg. A gang of men had reportedly been driving around in a white Quantum minibus taxi, picking up unsuspecting women in and around Soweto, then robbing them and raping them. On Sunday, a woman was allegedly raped in a minibus taxi for 4 hours. The woman said she was raped in the backseat of the taxi while her 10-year-old son was forced to watch. Yesterday, the MEC for Safety in Gauteng, Sizakele Nkosi Malobane, held a media briefing where, amongst others, she called on taxi drivers and men in general to speak out against these atrocities. She joins us now in our studios in Johannesburg to take this discussion further. MEC, it's a very good morning to you and thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much indeed. This is worrying. Not good news at all, of course, but it looks like it's something that's been happening for a while. I mean, you even said so during your media briefing yesterday that it's something that has apparently happened in the recent times.
Yes, one of the taxi bosses, when they arrived in my office yesterday for the meeting, one of the comments that he made was, this thing has been going on for some time, but unfortunately women have not been brave enough to speak about it.
And that's the taxi boss saying that?
Yes.
Obviously the question to them is, what did they do about the situation?
For now, I can say nothing has happened. They've done nothing about it, but I've actually requested that it is time that all of us get involved in making sure that women and young girls in particular are protected in public transport, particularly taxis.
But what are they saying? I know that you even had a meeting with the National Taxi Alliance. What are the taxi bosses saying if this has been happening in their watch?
Okay, one of the things that they said was, first they were going to make sure that they assist us in identifying the Quantum, the minibus taxi that was involved in these rapes, and we have identified one of the cars, and we have actually confiscated that car. It is with the police now. They've actually brought forward the owner of that vehicle. He was interviewed, and through him we believe that we'll be able to access or to find the perpetrators.
All right, so the minibus was positively identified?
Yes, it was positively.
That's the one that's been used?
That is, yes, the one that is being used, and that is the one that is with the police at the moment.
But where is the perpetrator or the perpetrators?
There was one suspect that was actually arrested and interviewed in the early hours of this morning, and unfortunately could not be positively identified or positively linked to the crimes. But we believe that through the CCTVs, when they were withdrawing from ATMs, we were able to actually we do have CCTVs from those ATMs, and we believe that we'll be able to trace those suspects, and very soon I believe they will be arrested.
But I must say, I would want to believe, for the fact that the minibus taxi that's been used in this act has positively been identified, the owner should then know who was driving his taxi on Sunday, especially when this incident happened.
That is part of the investigation, and we do have leads. We do know who the perpetrator, one of the perpetrators is, and we do have a photo of that particular perpetrator, and it is actually because of the investigation that involved the taxi bosses, and through them we will be able to access that particular perpetrator. They've also made a commitment that they will actually arrest that particular those perpetrators and hand them over to the authorities.
All right. So what have you found as the MEC of Safety upon your investigation? Is there perhaps a syndicate that is operating within Gauteng? Because I remember that Roodepoort was mentioned, as well as Soweto, and the taxis going to the Eastgate Mall. So is there perhaps a syndicate operating there? Because it looks like the modus operandi is the same.
Yes, I was about to say that. The modus operandi is the same. It's 3 men in a Quantum, and so far, after yesterday's public announcement, we now have 7 women that have come forward. 5 were actually were raped this year, and 2 experienced rape last year. And all of them are actually indicating that 3 men were involved, and all of them is actually almost in the same area, which is actually the Poison Precinct, but two are actually outside the Poison Precinct, one in Rodiport and one in the Randburg.
So it looks like the problem is bigger than we actually anticipated.
I think so, for the mere fact that in less than 24 hours, 7 women have actually come forward to say, we have actually experienced rape, we have actually experienced trauma in the hands of these criminals. So we might be actually sitting on a very big problem, and we still want to request those women that have actually experienced this particular trauma to come forward. They will get assistance. The 7 that have come forward, they are getting assistance at Ikayale Temba, and we believe that through them, we will be able to actually arrest this particular problem.
And I also read reports yesterday that some of the victims were complaining that they even went to report the crimes, but nothing was being done by the police. What did you find?
Actually, 2 of the victims indicated that they did go to the police stations. Yeah. There were issues of jurisdiction. Remember, they were actually picked up in one police precinct and they were raped in another. Instead of the police, that particular station where they went to report, take them to where where they were picked up, they actually send them from pillar to post. We're addressing that there is an internal investigation, and those police that have actually not provided a service to those women are actually going to be disciplined. The provincial commissioner is busy with that investigation, and very soon we will announce to the public what exactly have we done with those police that refuse to provide a service to those women.
But I must say, what's the way forward in terms of providing security at taxi ranks? I would want to believe that parents who are watching this interview or who've heard of the news are worried, especially those that have daughters going to universities using taxis, so they're worried. What's your department, or what will your department be doing with the situation? I mean, it looks like something is wrong within the taxi industry when it comes to women. Remember what happened back in 2012 when a woman was assaulted for merely wearing a miniskirt?
Okay. Remember, these incidents are not happening in taxis that are leaving taxi ranks. Yeah. It's people who are touting. Touting is when they go around and catch women, and it also happened during the day, particularly between 10:30 and 1:30 in the afternoon. So what we are now doing, we have deployed our patrollers as well as men as safety program, our mass group at taxi ranks, but that is not going to help us because they are picked up anyway. But what we have also done is we have deployed safety kiosks in those taxi ranks, and through those kiosks, they will then allow taxis that are going out of the taxi rank to go out with some of our patrollers, as well as going out with some of them of their own taxi patrollers. We are also going to make sure that we increase visibility, not only of police in those areas, but visibility of the taxi squad in those areas, to make sure that women who get into these taxis are actually protected. But also, we should know which taxis are actually touting in those areas, particularly the areas that I've actually spoken about, the Rodiport area, the Randburg, as well as the Poison Precinct.
All right, MEC, due to time constraints, we'll leave it at that, but it's a discussion for another day. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much.
All right, there you have it. That's the MEC for Safety in Gauteng, Sizakele Nkosi Malobane, talking to us about those worrying incidents that happened here in Gauteng. We're taking a break. When we come